Good night, friends. Hello, hello. Today we're going to be discussing the most recent immigration news. We will be discussing expedited removal and new expedited removal memo. We will be discussing arrests in courthouses and, of course, removal, Trump's administration's removal efforts, mass deportations efforts to date. So please join me. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. My name is Alena Shautsova. I'm a New York immigration lawyer. I help families, employers to comply with immigration laws in the United States and achieve the American dream. On my social media channels, I regularly share most interesting immigration news and answer your guys' questions. So if this is your first time, welcome. Please let me know where you're watching from. Say hello, prepare your questions that you can type up in chat, and we're going to start. So this week is the first week with new president, and we already have seen tremendous immigration changes. A number of executive orders has been signed by President Trump, and those executive orders changed immigration in the United States the way we know it. Previous executive orders were signed by Biden were revoked, and new enforcement priorities were established. Not only that, we are seeing unprecedented change in the way the United States immigration laws are being implemented or enforced. Expedited removal process is expanded like never before. We see new executive orders and memos authorizing officers to arrest immigrants in courthouses. What we knew before as sensitive locations no longer exist. ICE officers may go anywhere they feel their efforts should be implemented, and they may enter, if school allows, schools, playgrounds, and so on. To date, this week, we've seen enforcement operations that were confirmed in New York City, Newark, Boston, and we did have a report about enforcement efforts in Chicago, but then it was not confirmed in Chicago. According to the news, it wasn't the ICE officers, but it was Secret Service that tried to enter the school, and they couldn't enter the school because school officials put forward certain precautions and didn't allow those officers to come in. Nevertheless, according to various sources, anywhere from 600 to about 1,000 people were arrested so far, and those were the people who had criminal records. This is what we know about these removal efforts to date. Let me play a clip for you if you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook. Let's see if it's going to work. Let's see what Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, is saying about this enforcement efforts.
You said we have never seen that before. Is that going to be a constant commitment from the U.S. military every single day to take deportees out?
Yes.
So is this what we will see every single day, ending in what the president has promised is millions and millions being deported?
Yes. But you're going to see the number steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture. Right now it's concentrating public safety threats, national security threats. That's a smaller population. So we're going to do this on priority base, as President Trump's promised, but as that aperture opens, there'll be more arrests nationwide.
When you talk about the aperture opening, the estimates of perhaps those who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table. Because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
All right. So as you see, Trump's officials are commenting on this removal efforts, and they're confirming that basically they're just being started. And so far, they've been focusing on people with criminal records, but once they believe they will be able to deport about 700,000 to 1 million people, they will move on to everyone else. But who is this everyone else? Well, we know already that Trump's administration officials are empowered to deport, of course, first of all, people who already have final orders of removal. But to that, they're joining one more group of recently arrived immigrants. According to the new memo issued by Benjamin Huffman, Trump administration is going to be placing in expedited removal proceedings as many people as they can. Expedited removal is different from regular removal in that it is very fast, in that you do not see a judge, and you cannot file for various defenses from removal like you do when you are subject to regular removal proceedings. In expedited removal proceedings, you have only one relief available. It is asylum. But for that, you have to pass initial tests qualifying you for asylum. If, according to the ICE officials, you did not pass those tests, you will be ordered removed. Once expedited removal order is issued against you, there is no appeal. You cannot appeal that order. And you're going to be for 5 years inadmissible into the United States. For 5 years, you will not be able to come back to the United States. Of course, there are waivers available, but it's nearly impossible to receive them unless you meet very certain, very narrow criteria. So, who are these people who's going to be subject to expedited removal? For decades in the United States, those people usually included those who are trying to enter the United States without a visa or parole at the border. However, the law does say that the group of these people can be expanded to those who arrived to the United States within the past 2 years and spent less than 2 years, and they arrived without authorization or parole. But guess what's happening now? According to this newly issued memo signed on January 23rd, 2025, people who arrived on parole, people who are already placed in regular removal proceedings, asylum seekers in regular removal proceedings, may also be now placed in expedited removal proceedings. But how? Well, their parole can be revoked and DHS may take them out of the regular removal proceedings. Why is it being done? Well, because Trump's administration is very unhappy with Biden-authorized parole programs for certain countries, including Venezuela, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Cuba. Ukraine now is being discussed as one of those countries which parole is going to be also taken away. In fact, about 20-something hours ago, New York Times published an article advising that new people who would have otherwise entered the United States using parole in parole programs are no longer going to be able to enter. And it is not only for people from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Haiti, but also for people from Ukraine. All right. So not only CBP1 app is closed, those parole programs are also going to be canceled. Well, right now it says a temporary stay, but most likely it will be permanent. This change is going to be permanent, where Trump officials paused programs to let in immigrants, including Ukrainians. Okay. Now, will Trump administration cancel parole for people who are already having the parole and maybe even filed for reparole? Very likely. It's very likely, maybe possible, not at once, but at some point. So my advice to everybody who can qualify and can file for TPS, temporary protected status, please go ahead and do so. It's very, very important that you file for it as soon as you can. Another very important change that happened recently, just within this past couple of days, is the fact that now ICE can perform arrests in courthouses. They're no longer stopped by the sensitive location memos, and they may arrest people in courthouses. But what does it mean? Well, I understand this to mean that if you are, let's say, in immigration court proceedings and your hearing is in person, and if the judge issues order of removal against you, and I may be wrong, but I read this memo to understand that you may be picked up in that courthouse. Even though the order is not final if you reserve the appeal, but it seems that that's what may happen, right? Also, if you are in criminal court or maybe even landlord-tenant court appearing for your hearings, you also may be picked up by ICE officers. And they do put some explanations as to when and how they should be doing the enforcement operation. So they should be discreet as possible, not to interrupt other proceedings, not to traumatize anybody. But the point is that they're given the green light to act in courthouses. Okay, so this is a very, very important, this is a huge change compared to the enforcement efforts that we've seen in the past, I would say even 4 years and maybe even longer. The last time such arrests took place were in 2017, 2018, and at that time, various non-for-profit organizations shared their recommendations as to what you need to do if you have to appear in court and not being and you're afraid that you may be arrested by ICE. One of the advice was to be as discreet as possible, not to shout out any names in the hallways, to remain inside of the courtroom as much as possible, and of course, prepare for possible arrests. This is something that anybody who's undocumented has to do now. And I've been talking about this with other immigration lawyers. Of course, you have to put your papers in order, copies of your tax filings, copies of birth certificates, marriage certificates, birth certificates for your children. You need to have records of property ownership and maybe have certain plans in case you are arrested as to who is going to be authorized to take care of your affairs. For the children, you can designate a guardian, standby guardian, so that the children are not going to go into the foster care system. A lot to do, guys. Very stressful time, absolutely. One more thing I wanted to mention is concerning birthright citizenship situation. Many of you who are in the United States, and maybe you had children born in the United States or hoping for the children to be born in the United States, expecting, I understand that this is extremely stressful time. You know that the President Trump's executive order has been stayed for 14 days right now, but what's going to happen next? I believe the matter is going to go all the way up to the US Supreme Court, okay? That's what I think is going to happen. It's not such an easy question, even though some view it as a very easy question, as a violation of US Constitution, but there is a little reference in the constitutional language that may open the door for this interpretation that Trump's administration is pushing. I don't believe that he's going to get it very easy. I do believe that for him to reach his goal, Congress will have to amend the Constitution. So I view this particular order, as I explained before, rather sort of a starter, as a conversation opener to see what the other side is going to say. But definitely it lays out the grounds for possible constitutional amendments, right? We need to understand that. So what's going to happen next? I think there will be motions to dismiss the lawsuits, and then it's going to escalate. That's what I believe is going to happen. So far, the order is not in effect. Now, if you guys have questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. Let me know what questions you have, what topics you would like to discuss today. And thank you guys very much for the roses. Thank you for sharing the stream and liking it. Thank you guys on TikTok for your hearts. It means a lot to me and to my channel and my team, of course. Hi, Pancho Villa. Executive orders are not laws. They're more like directions for his agencies. Sure, but the problem is that executive power, executive branch has the most power over immigration enforcement. So executive orders are not laws, but they can only be squashed either by the federal litigation or by the next president. So for a while, we will have to adapt to the new reality. And while we are adapting to the new reality, a lot of people are going to suffer from these executive orders. Okay, that's where we stand. Whether we want it or not, executive branch does have very wide powers over immigration. Hi, JIT078, married to green card holder. I am seeking asylum from 8 years, no interview, came as J1, what to do? Did you come in as a J1 work and travel program? For 8 years, you're seeking asylum. I'm not sure when you guys got married and if your spouse filed I-130, but you may want to look into I-601A route, all right? I-601A route. Can Yemeni with asylum pending apply for EB5 visa? EB5 visa. Visa is being issued overseas. For some reason, it's extremely difficult for nationals of Yemen to get any immigration benefits in the United States. There is no any specific prohibition on issues to issue visas or proof petitions, but it's extremely challenging. Anybody who represents clients from Yemen would confirm that. Your guys' cases take twice as long. So would you want to go through this route to invest millions of dollars into EB5 program and get stuck in the process? By the way, if you're asylum seeker in the United States, you will not be able to change status in the United States. You'll have to go overseas to receive a visa. So I would suggest, why don't you consult with an immigration attorney and see if this plan is the best for you? Maybe there is something else that may be suitable for your particular situation, okay? Hi, Rosa. Thank you very much for following, guys. Hi, J Queen. Thank you very much for gifts. I do appreciate them. All right. Hi, Heart of Asia. I filed I-45 in California, and it has been 26 months. Still, I don't have any update or approval. Why did you file your I-45? What is it based on? It's very important. If the priority date is current, right, and everything is well with your case, why don't you ask your senator for help? I find it the most effective way and the cheapest one to get a decision from USCIS. Hi, Abni. I got close to 11 camera parking tickets. Would it affect my citizenship application in July 21st, 2026? I've never been pulled over the police officers. Yes. Friends, if you have a lot of little violations of the civil laws, it may affect your citizenship application. So please, as soon as you can, handle those parking tickets, handle those camera tickets so you have a clean record by the time you file, right? Because it all can boil down to good moral character. And I did see denials of green card applications for people who had lots of tickets. Usually, a ticket is not a big deal. But when you have tons of them, the government says you are found to not following the laws systematically, and we don't believe you're going to be a good fit for what we have to offer, a green card or citizenship. Just keep this in mind. So take care of those tickets and try not to get them anymore. I guess you're working as a Uber driver, right? Usually I see people with that many tickets when they're Uber drivers. Thank you very much for the roses. Thank you, the enlightenment, for your gift. The enlightenment coach, yes. We got 2-year green card with extension, now waiting 3 years for the 10-year green card. What to do? Why don't you file N400? And this will sort of, it's going to help you to expedite the decision on that I-751. The way it's going to work is that you're going to have an interview for your N400. And at that interview, if you're still married with your spouse, which I hope you are, you're going to have you're going to insist for the USCIS to adjudicate your I-751 before they make a decision on your N400. And this way you can resolve this issue, okay? That's what, as immigration attorneys, we usually suggest. Thank you guys very much for your hearts on TikTok. All right, let me see. All right. Some people are looking for wives watching my live. Listen, if you find somebody, great for you, but I doubt here's or any suitable, eligible ladies. Hi, Baba. NVC sent me a letter for my wife case. I-130 that all documents is approved. So now what is the next step? All right, so I guess you received a notification that your case is documentary qualified, as we call it, right? The case is documentary qualified. Now you guys will have to wait for the consulate to have a date for your interview, for your spouse's interview. Once they give you that date, usually 90 to 120 days from the time, from the date when your case became documentary qualified, once you have the date, what's going to happen is that your spouse will have to submit a medical exam, all right? And hopefully everything is going to go well afterwards. Thank you guys for your gifts on TikTok. I have like very active, very generous crowd today on TikTok. Let me see. Hi, Jeet078. I'm here for 8 years, yes, waiting for asylum. Recently got married to green card holder. That we discussed. Consider I-601A, all right? That may be a good way for you to handle your status. All right, somebody here says that I wish I could connect these people who are saying that I'm spreading wrong information and ask them what specifically is wrong here, what I'm saying, because I can absolutely confirm my every word. And what can you do, anonymous person behind the screen? Hi, Ratatouille. 9 years ago, I got voluntarily departure order. I didn't sign anything. Immigration lost my passport. Oh, no. Guys, voluntarily departure is worse than a regular order of removal, all right? Why? Because if you do not depart, the consequences are drastic. First, that voluntarily departure turns into order of removal against you. Second, what happens is that you are prohibited from filing for any immigration benefit. Plus to that, you may be looking at civil penalties for violating that voluntarily departure order, all right? Passport was lost, I understand that, but have you tried to obtain a new passport, all right? I do not know the situation, so why don't you consult with an attorney, get a copy of your files, and see what can be done, if anything, how you can get out of the situation. But I'll be honest with you, VD, what we call, it's extremely difficult to overcome the consequences of that violated VD order, right? Hi, Sunny, can I travel with a conditional green card? I lost my physical card, but replacement hasn't arrived. Can you travel with a conditional green card that you lost? Well, you mentioned that you lost it. So how can you travel? If you have a valid passport, you should make an appointment with the local USCIS office, and they will stamp your passport with a stamp, 551 stamp, as we call it, that will allow you to travel. It will serve as a confirmation of your current green card holder status. Okay, that's how you can travel. All right. Hi, MD, please tell us about I-45 application spending. Please let me know what you would like to know about that. Are you safe with spending? Well, it depends on your situation. If you were in status when you filed your I-45, then you should be totally fine. If you were not in status when you filed I-45, technically, any application that's pending before USCIS can be terminated. And if at that time you don't have legal status, you can be placed in removal proceedings. If you arrived to the United States less than 2 years ago and it wasn't on a visa, you may be placed in expedited removal proceedings. All right? What's happening now, and I think I understand what's happening with Trump administration. They figure out that they won't be able to deport everybody quickly the way they want to using regular removal proceedings. So they need to find a way to place as many people as possible into expedited removal proceedings that take maybe weeks or days opposed to years. So if you are a recent arrival, if you recently arrived, consult with an attorney as fast as you can, okay? What of pending asylum with work permit? Same thing. They just stated that even if you are in removal proceedings, obviously you filed for something, but it's been less than 2 years, they can try to closing those removal proceedings and placing you in expedited removal proceedings, okay? So that's what's happening. When they will do it, I do not know. Because right now they're focusing on people with criminal records. Then they're going to go after people with orders of removal. I just played the clip for you that confirmed that, right? You saw that? Tom Holman usually does what he says. That's why I was surprised, by the way, when I heard the news about ICE trying to enter school in Chicago, because he explicitly stated ICE is not going to do that unless there are certain very, very compelling circumstances. And I was surprised when I heard the news and said, oh, ICE agents are trying to enter Chicago school, but we didn't allow them. And I was like, wow, that was kind of fast, that the promises were broken. But then, of course, the next day we saw statements from the school and news reports that those were not agents from the ICE. Those were other agencies. Hi, B, I have been here for 3 months only with visitor's visa. Am I safe? If your visa is still valid, absolutely. Visitor's visa usually allowed to, visitors visa holders are usually allowed to stay in the United States for 6 months, okay? Will order removal be deported even in a country with conflict like Sudan? Yes. Certain countries do not accept their nationals or citizens. I think what's happening right now with the Trump's administration is looking how to pressure those countries into accepting their nationals. So if they will figure it out, then yes, guys, you will be able to be removed physically, all right? Hi, MC Don. I submitted T visa case, no reply yet, no receipt. If I got denied, will it expedite my case? If you're denied your T visa, of course, now you will be open for removal, right? If you submitted your T visa case and haven't received a receipt, it means it's a recent submission, probably within the past 30 days or so, right? All right. Can I travel? Yes, we discussed that. Hi, my husband and I got married. His asylum ended and they closed the case. Should I be worried? Hi, Abigail. His asylum ended. I'm not sure what happened there, how it ended. Did he close the case by dismissal in immigration court? And Do you have status? If so, can you file for your husband? If not, and the case was closed, what was the plan? Did your husband understand that he's going to have no status after the case is closed? I do not know, all right? So I think that's something that you guys have to discuss with an attorney as to what the plan is. For some people, closing the case was a good idea. The judge could have indicated that the case is not going to be approved, and rather than going through appeals, the person chose to have the case terminated in time, because this new administration is no longer terminating any cases, or they do not agree to terminate any cases. Termination of the case means you don't have status, but at the same time, it means that you may remain in the United States, even though without status, right? For some people, terminating the case maybe wasn't such a good idea because they did have a chance. If you believe that you did have a chance to win your case, but for some reason you decided at that time that it was a good idea to terminate it, see if you would like to refile your case with USCIS. Most of those terminated cases were asylum cases. All right, so what's going to happen is that you're going to be called for the interview currently, if nothing changes, very soon, within 6 months about. And then asylum office is either going to grant your case or they will refer you back to courts. So if you feel that you made a wrong decision about terminating your case and you would like to try your luck again with this administration, you can go ahead and do that, right? I think it's suicidal, but that's just my perspective. Most cases that were closed, guys, they were closed for a reason. I entered with, hold on. I entered with B2 in 2024, and I have asylum pending and TPS approved. Expedite removal will reach me, not if you have TPS. If you have TPS, by law, you cannot be removed, okay? That's why it's such a good idea to file for TPS. If you have a parole can be revoked. But TPS, unless everybody loses TPS, no. So it's very, very important to understand that. File for TPS if you can. Hi, I'm Sudan. Please explain the processing time. You can check the processing time, guys, on USCIS website. It's very easy to do so. You go to the website, you check processing times for specific form. T-visa usually takes less than a year. Hi, Moto Bolombo. Can my military wife file adjustment of status for me if I don't have I-94 parole in place? No. If you, first of all, it is you who's filing I-45, not your military spouse. Your military spouse can only file I-130 for you. But you, if you don't have lawful entry to the United States, will not be able to adjust status. You will have to get parole in place first, okay? And since you do have military spouse, you can try to get that parole in place through that military program. It's not a military program, it's parole in place for members of the military. That has not been revoked. It's a good regulation. You can still try using it, and you should as soon as you can. Hi, Saif, I'm dual national of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Can I apply for asylum? Yes, you can. Most likely you will have to show that you cannot be removed to neither of this country. In New York, the law is a little bit different, but I assure you that prosecutor is going to try to make the argument that if you show danger only in one country, why don't you get removed to another one? You have to be prepared for that argument, okay? But can you? Yes, you can. You can always try. Hi, Mr. Ahmed. Applying asylum is okay at this moment, considering the Trump administration is getting hard on every aspect in allowing outsiders to settle in the United States. Some people don't have a choice. They have to file for something. Also, you do not want to miss your 1-year deadline, so you will be filing for asylum. pending case is better than no case if it comes to immigration. But of course, everything is going to be harder with this administration than previous administration, that's for sure. Hi, Sohail. Hi, students complete degree. I have a work permit. Do I travel back home and come back again? Not sure what your question is. Can you travel back home and come back again? That's the question. Let me know, please, what you mean by that. All right. Hi, Natalia. I'm in court. I'm from Ukraine. I live in the United States for 25 years. And for 15 years, I am married to the US citizen. I would like to change my attorney and how to file for TPS. Hi, Natalia. I'm not sure what happened there. Why you're still not a green card holder if you've been married to a US citizen for such a long time. But you can always, guys, change your attorney in court. Absolutely. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is that if your hearing date is too close, not many lawyers are going to take such a case, because with attorneys have to have time to prepare your case. Okay, so you need to understand that. Now, file for TPS, absolutely, you can submit it online, or you can hire an attorney and submit it. It's up to you, but you have to do it as soon as possible. All right, as soon as possible. Hi, Isabel. Is there a time limit to file for I-751 waiver based after 2 years? Interestingly enough, I-751 petition to remove conditions from a green card, if you file it on a waiver basis, doesn't have any deadlines. You can file it prior to 2 years, or you can file it any time after two years. But you need to keep in mind one thing. USCIS keeps track of people on conditional green cards. Usually, when they see that your conditional green card is about to expire, they send you notification telling you to file for that removal of the condition. If you don't file for it for a long time, they may place you in removal proceedings because they may state that your status is terminated. Just keep it in mind. So you probably would like to file for it sooner than later. All right. Let me take some more questions. Okay. I have to file for my removal of conditions in March, 90 days prior. Oops. When do I apply for citizenship? Guys, you file for citizenship. Citizenship will be granted, let me answer it this way, only once the decision on your I-751 is made in your favor. Prior to that, N-400 cannot be granted. Now, you file for your removal of the conditions, and then if you're eligible already to file for citizenship, which I doubt, just based on the question, about in a year you're probably going to be, then you file for citizenship if your I-751 is still pending. Again, an N-400 will not be granted until I-751 is resolved. We just had this question at the beginning of this stream. Please play it back on YouTube and Facebook, and I gave very detailed answer as to what's going to happen in this case. Okay. Does the president have a power to change USCIS policies? Yes. He can order his staff, which he appoints, to change certain policies, and they will, right? And they will. And unfortunately or fortunately, in the United States immigration laws, a lot of decisions depend on the policy. There is discretion. How USCIS, DHS, ICE implement this or that law. And if that discretion changes, the outcome is going to change. So if something was granted a year ago, there's very well something based on the same facts may be denied now. That's the problem with this whole entire situation. Hi, good year. Our state visa came in 2019, served in US Army 3 years as a translator in Afghanistan. I'm from Tajikistan. All right. I don't know if you were able to file for a special immigrant visa or not. I don't know that. If you can file for asylum, also not sure, but definitely meet with an attorney and see what can be done, if anything. Also, if you arrived in 2019, why you didn't do anything until now? Not sure, right? Because asylum, usually you have to comply with 1 year deadline for filing for it. Hi, Ms. Spector, what happened about U visa? I do not know any news about U visa and any updates, guys. If you do, please let me know, but I haven't seen anything with regard to any changes, major changes with regard to U visa yet. Hello, if I got deported, can I choose another country? Because in my country, Yemen, there is war. Alternative location can be designated by the government to propose to you. The problem is this. Will that alternative location take you forcefully? By force, they're not going to take you. In other words, let's say you want to be removed, for the sake of the argument, to Russia. Okay, let's do it. Let's make an argument like that. If you don't have any connection with that country, permanent residency or second passport, Russia's simply not going to take you. Okay, some people may choose voluntarily departure. They say, you know what? I'm going to leave the United States on my own. But not everybody is entitled to it. It's a relief. You have to qualify for it. There is also a difference when you request it. Pre-conclusion voluntarily departure or after conclusion voluntarily departure. It makes a huge difference for you in terms of time that you're going to be given by the judge to leave the United States and your choices. Okay? So work with an attorney. You have to have a good lawyer now in courts to be able to address all possible changes that are being thrown at us, as we speak. These days you come to courts and something new is popping up. So you have to have a lot of experience, and you need to know how to compose yourself in the face of the judge who says that yesterday there was a new ruling, or prosecutor who all of a sudden is not going to honor any previous agreements. And situations like that, where you hoped to get something, and because the policy is going to change, you may lose your case just because new administration has absolutely different policies. Okay, so get yourself a good lawyer, prepare well, and I'm sure there will be cases that's still going to be granted. It's always been like this. All right, it's just a matter of how well you're going to prepare and sort of luck, I would say, also. People waiting for asylum interviews for over 5 years. Some people wait for over 8 years. Is Trump going to revoke TPS? I do not have a crystal ball. I do not know, but I can predict that he may try. Whether or not he'll be successful, we're going to see. I'm sure his administration learned a lot from the first time he tried to revoke people's TPS. You have to be certified if you're working cash. Not sure what it means. All I can tell you guys, if you work and you receive a check, or if you work in the United States and you receive cash, you must file your taxes. Consult with an accountant as to how to do it. If you don't have social security number, you will need to get that tax ID number, but you must file your taxes. It is especially true now, very important now. I have duplicated I-45 I-30 application in USCIS due to delivery problem from USPS. Is that okay? Did you receive 2 receipts? Did you file fees twice? Is that what happened? Is it okay? Well, I think it would make sense to advise USCIS of this issue and withdraw one of the packets, right? What will be the result if they caught me on working without permit, but you're legally in the United States? but you don't have a work permit, it means you are in violation of your status. It means that they may place you in removal proceedings, okay? You may be in a tourist status, but then you work without authorization. It means that you violate the terms and conditions of your non-immigrant status, right? It means that your status is terminated, basically, and you can be placed in removal proceedings. Students, guys, please do not work without authorization. Same issue. Are people with withholding or removal safe? Yes, unless judges order otherwise. All right? Withholding or removal, you guys should not be removed anywhere. And unless something huge changes, like country conditions change in your country, and the judge converts that order of removal to something else. I've never seen that happening. In theory, it may happen, but I've never seen that happening. Hi, Marat. I got approved for 42B cancellation removal 3 years and 8 months ago. Case is still pending. Am I safe for deportation? Are you safe for deportation? Yes, you should be safe. You will not be deported until your time comes. But the problem is this: the judge just indicated that the case was approved. The judge could not give you an approval yet, okay? The judge issues an order of approval for cancellation of removal cases only when the visa is available. Hopefully, your visa will be available within the next 6 months and everything will be okay. You also need to know that if your qualifying relative was a child who is aging out, your case may not be approved. Okay? Hopefully, it wasn't a child who's aging out. Cancellation or removal can be very, very tricky. Thank you guys for your hearts on TikTok. Let me see. My wife here was here on parole and returned to Ukraine when somebody got sick. What is the best way she can return? Well, currently she will not be able to return on U4U. I'm going to tell you that. Okay, that's not going to be possible, at least for now. Only if she qualifies for some sort of a visa. All right. Only if somebody qualifies for a visa. Does having an ITN number help at all if you're having a case waiting? Sure. It helps you to establish good moral character by paying your taxes. All right. Good moral character is going to be extremely important with this administration. They already stated that. Actually, guys, I mean, listen, with time, after they're done deporting people or riding this wave of mass deportation news, they may actually offer status to people because in the past, Republicans always been in favor of some sort of a immigration reform, which Democrats didn't like. All Republican proposals usually involve some sort of a fine or penalty and a significant time, long pathways towards green card or citizenship. So with time, as they will understand they may not be able to deport or do not want to deport all 11 million people residing in the United States without documents. With time, they may actually try to resolve this issue by proposing something rather than threatening with mass deportations. Thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to share the stream and give me your hearts and likes. Thank you guys for your generosity today. I submitted T visa. Can I check my progress on USCIS website without a receipt? No. No, guys. There are certain applications that are very confidential. Recently, Biden administration stated that they will try to change the system, that using the receipt number, you will be able to check the status of your case. But typically speaking, because T visa, U visa, asylum, and VAWA are so confidential, you will not have easy access to those status, to the status of such cases. All right? That's something that is for sure. Your lawyer will be able to probably give you some updates in terms of whether or not they received any notices, but that's about it. it's different. These cases are different from the rest of the cases that we have, where you can punch in your receipt and you can get an answer as to where your case is standing. All right. Hi, Gigi. We applied for you in October. Is you canceled? It's not canceled yet, but it's on pause. They stated that they will not authorize any new travels to the United States. That's what happened, right? So it's not affirmatively canceled, but it's not going to be approved yet. Hi, Yasse. My parents are in process of residency and work permit. Are they at risk? I don't think so. If you are a US citizen and you filed for your parents, as long as they're not inadmissible on other grounds, parents should be safe, all right, from any enforcement. Just make sure you have proof for them. Another important thing, guys, May starts, Real ID kicks in. This time around, it seems that Real ID has not been postponed yet, and I do not know if it will. In May of 2025, right? Am I right? I think so. Even though there was a proposal to postpone Real ID, it may very well be that Real ID is going to go into effect. And then it's either you can update your state driver's license or you have a US passport or a green card, right? That's how it's going to be. All right. All right, guys. All right. Now, let me see if we have more questions. Right. How's the best way to contact you? Yes, guys, you can contact me very easily Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can call my office to set up an appointment, and my secretaries will be able to assist you with that. Or 24/7, you can go to my website, shautsova.com, my last name.com, and book your appointment there. If you want to have an in-person appointment, then you will have to call my office because they help to set it up, because I have limited slots for those appointments available in limited locations. Most of my appointments are online, but in person is available and possible if that's what you prefer. Okay. But for that, you need to call the office because they're going to tell you when I'm available. I don't have that many days, and my schedule for in-person appointments is always very limited, very full. High essence motive for a husband that overstay and me in military. Can I apply for military parole in place, which is going directly through adjustment of status? If your spouse had legal entry, parole or visa, inspected and admitted, you don't need to file for military parole in place. Parole in place is for those people who did not enter the United States legally, only for those people, right? That's who parole in place is for. You don't need the pain of parole in place if you have legal entry. Usually you can adjust without that. Provided you're not inadmissible on other grounds. It's also very important. All right, withholding orders, we discussed that. All right. Hi, Dan the man. I'm here 23 years with no criminal record. My daughter turning 21 this August. Any advice? Hold on till August. All right, if you entered legally and your child who is a US citizen turns 21, they will be able to submit that I-130 for you, and you will be able to file for adjustment of status. Provided you don't have any other issues, previous unsuccessful I-130 applications filed by US citizen spouses, you should be able to adjust your status. All right. And by the way, guys, most of the judges, even if you're placed in removal proceedings, when they hear that you do have a relative who can sponsor you, they will give you time to go through the process rather than order you being deported. Okay. All right. I resume. I'm a big fan. I have a question. Do I have to forfeit my asylum case and work permit when applying for adjustment of status? No, you don't. Guys, this is very important. When you filed for asylum, and now you have an opportunity to adjust your status through marriage to a US citizen. There is no requirement whatsoever that you are to withdraw your asylum case prior to getting that adjustment granted. And I would never advise anybody to withdraw their asylum prior to securing that green card. Why? Because if you withdraw your asylum to refile it, you will lose your 1-year filing deadline. So you don't want to do that. However, sometimes USCIS officers do give you a hard time and they insist on you withdrawing your application. That's why you have to attend the interview with an experienced attorney who is going to say, no, we're not going to do that. Thank you very much. And then speak to the supervisor if the officer insists. All right. Hi, Mike Johnson. I applied for asylum in 2023 with USCIS and I have my work permit. Can I get deported too and enter with a visa? Wow. So if you do get deported using expedited process, you will not be able to get a visa for the next 5 years unless you will qualify for the waiver, 212 D3 waiver, which is extremely difficult to receive unless, of course, there is a matter of national security, government interest is involved, then you may have a very good chance of actually securing that waiver. Some people can. If you're on an F1 visa and working part-time, do they deport you? Yes, if you work on without authorization, absolutely. And if you're found in violation of your status, you forfeited your status and you're open to deportation, yes. Hi, Hafsa. The interview is for the I-45 adjustment of status. I have a visitor's visa. Let me see what's happening here. If you're on F1 visa and working part-time, yes. All right. I'm an international student and I want to stay in the United States. Well, now it's going to be sort of difficult to do that, but not impossible. See if you can potentially qualify for EB1 work permit, EB1 work visa, EB2 national interest waiver, something like that, right? It's a possibility. Why not? Everybody is open up for possibility. Can someone be deported if they have social security number? Of course. Social security number is not something that protects you from removal. All it is the number that was given to you by Social Security Administration so that you can pay taxes. And your record of earnings is going to be, and tax reportings is going to be starting in the United States. What I guess about E2 visa, can I apply for an extension? If you hold an E2 status and it's expiring, you have no choice but to file for an extension, right? Right? All right. Let me see. Can you discuss Birthright agenda? Yes, we did at the beginning of this video, guys, so you can play it back. I did provide like a little update, basically. I shared my thoughts on what this whole executive order is about. I don't believe that it's going to be easy for Trump administration to change the current state of events without either constitutional amendment or US Supreme Court order, all right? And I also do not believe that it will be easy to defeat this executive order without significant fight in court. Because the question is actually that the Trump administration is going to present, it's a valid question, whether or not US government has jurisdiction over undocumented residents in the United States. This question has not been answered by any court yet. There was a different case where, if I'm not mistaken, a child was born to lawful permanent residents, and then the child traveled overseas with parents. And upon arrival, the government didn't want to admit such a child. And there was an argument that the child became a US citizen, and that case, the child was able to win, and this is a precedent. But the question of undocumented has never been resolved. And I think it's time to resolve it, right? If there is a challenge, once there is a challenge to something in our laws, the challengers are not going to stop until we have a final resolution. Either US Supreme Court is going to say, stop right there and don't raise it again, because this is how we rule. And usually they stop and pause for a while, for about 100 years, okay? But remember, if there is a constitutional amendment passed, then the new law is going to take effect, right? So it's also is a very much a possibility, very much a possibility. All right. Hi, Simon. I applied for renewal of my work permit and I haven't received a new card yet. Can I travel in state? Right now, yes, you can. Besides, most likely your previous work permit was automatically extended due to automatic extension provisions. So you should be fine, okay? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next week, we do not know. So guys, please subscribe to my channel. I will be delivering updates as soon as we receive them. Usually I publish little videos, those reels, shorts on YouTube, and little updates on TikTok, and I hold these lives regularly. Right now, more often than usual, because we have so many different things happening at the same time. We've never seen it like this ever happening before. Everybody agrees that the speed with which everything is changing is unbelievable. And of course, we're trying to analyze everything and we're trying to adjust. We're trying to give the best advice to our clients, public, communities. There is a lot of good advice online, but there is bad advice as well. So it's always the best if you consult with an attorney in private, confidentially, okay? And the lawyer will be able to share advice that is the best for you. Very, very important. All right. So thank you guys very much for joining. Thank you very much for your hearts, likes, shares. I hope that you're all going to be safe throughout this weekend, and I hope to see you soon.